Picture this scene. You're in the bleachers because your kid is on the mat in a big wrestling meet. Big match. Where are you? You're on the phone. Not because you want to be, but because a guest at one of your rental properties just texted you about a Wi-Fi issue. If you don't respond in the next 5 minutes, your 5-star review is going to 3 or 2 or worse. You look up, you miss the takedown. That's not a vacation rental manager problem. That's an entrepreneur problem. You can change the job and the sport or activity, but you know you have a version of that story. Here's a different scene. Someone sends you a text asking for something you really don't want to do. You already know, before you've typed a single word of response, that you're going to say yes. Not because you want to, but because you can already feel their disappointment if you don't. You're going to hear about it. And that feeling is faster than your logic. So you explain, you apologize, you justify to yourself, and you say yes. Folks, that's not a weakness. That's actually what makes you good at relationships. But left unchecked, it costs you your time, your energy, your moments in life, and eventually your patience. So today we're going to get into both. Systems that free you up and the human stuff that fills back in when you do. Peter, today I'm throwing you a left hook of systems and a right hook of humanity. I want you to try not to go down in the first round like Glass Joe or Piston Honda. You know
or Tottenham, who are about to get relegated if we're going to go to a British reference.
Do you know who Glass Joe and Piston Honda are?
I know of them, but don't know them well enough to say I do.
You definitely know them. You played Mike Tyson Punch-Out. All right. I'm Joe Downs. With me is Peter Swain. We're just a couple of successful idiots who figure out how to use AI to improve our lives and help run our businesses, and that's what we're here to show you today. Quick note, if this is your first show, Peter is British, which means he apologizes before disagreeing with you, and somehow you end up thanking him for it. And that's basically what AI does, too. All right. Peter.
So we're saying AI is British. Is that what we just said? Love it.
Damn it. Definitely don't want to give the Brits that credit. All right, Peter, let's
Well, Geoffrey Hinton is regarded as the godfather of AI, and he is a Brit. So, yeah, I guess AI is British. No, you're welcome.
It's Google. It's an American company, although they're Russian. Whatever. All right. First up, listener named Cassie, who runs a vacation rental company in the Poconos of Pennsylvania and wants to watch her kids' wrestling meet. That's who I was referring to. We got an email from her. Without running the show. And then, because these are two awesome topics, we're only going to do two. And we're closing with something I think most of you are going to quietly relate to. It's the conversations you keep meaning to have but never quite manage to start with about boundaries. So Cassie first. Peter got an email, of course, the Dear Idiots mailbag here. And Cassie, as I mentioned in the opening here, she runs a vacation rental management company in the Poconos. She's managing like 20 properties, but on top of that, she's got a cleaning company, and they clean like over 50. So she's busy. She's already using AI. I almost didn't. I just almost read this email and said thank you, Cassie, because we just kind of did an episode or a segment on this about how to use AI for vacation properties. But then I kept reading. I realized this isn't what this email is about. Cassie's pain is different. She's already using AI pricing and automated guest messaging and check-in instructions and all that stuff. But you heard my opening story. She wants to be at her kid's game, like present, without being on the phone. And the automation she has in place isn't solving it. Peter, if Cassie came to you tomorrow or today and said, I want to get off my phone and be present at my kid's game, and I want to do it by Friday, where do you even start?
Oh. Turn off your phone.
Caveman advice here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm finding it hard to think into this, to be honest, because it's reminded me of an occasion where I was living in this area that was kind of very predominantly student housing, and it was snowing. And I had decided, I think people relate to this. I had decided to drive into the office so that I could get snowed in the office instead of getting snowed in at home. And as I left the house, a group of students asked me if I wanted to join them for a snowball fight. And I said, I can't, I'm too busy. And I got to the office and literally cried. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Having a snowball fight is it's one of those universal joys. It's like throwing a ball for a dog. It's just universally a nice thing to do. And my default reaction is I can't do that because I'm too busy. To drive to an office to snow myself in. And as you said, everyone's got a version of that story where they miss one of life's moments because they feel compelled to do something because the sacrifice of not doing it is too great or perceived to be too great. And in this moment, as you said, it's that 5-star review dropping to a 4-star review, which legitimately is a problem. It's going to affect you forever. The answers I would give would be AI is very, very good at two things. One, giving the superficial answer, and two, giving the quick answer. And it's superlatively good at giving all the answers, but maybe some of that stuff might be technically beyond some of the people that are listening at the moment. But the ability for it to go, hey, I've got you, don't worry, we'll be back with you in 30 minutes, or give us an hour, or this is the response time you can expect, and answer the simple questions is very, very simple. Now, for an off-the-package, off-the-shelf solution, I'd recommend for Cassie a program called Intercom, Intercom. Intercom is an AI-enabled customer support system. It supports Facebook Messenger, Instant Messenger, phone, text, WhatsApp, email, website, pretty much everything. It can hold the context of a customer. So you can say this customer bought this thing at this price on these days, and it will understand that. And you can feed it a knowledge base of content, such as what the Wi-Fi isn't working, please press this button, wait 15 minutes and press this button again. And you can also tell it if you don't know the answer to a question, then put in that holding email that I just said, or the holding text back telling them that we'll come back in an hour. So you can get that up and running in a couple of hours. So Cassie could have that future that she's talking about. Yeah. 2-3 hours from now.
So okay, so that's Intercom. So anyone who's in a, I guess like a service-based business like this, because this I'm guessing would be applicable for the plumber, the electrician, the
100%.
who's got clients who have temporal needs, or because what I'm hearing you unpack there is it's also like a help desk.
100%. They can have tickets.
It starts kind of sounds like a clone too, right? If using your Wi-Fi, press this button, wait 15 minutes, press this button, which sounds like a slow Wi-Fi. But that sounds like a problem that, when you go on those chats and you start typing some words and it's like, is your problem about this, or this? It sounds like that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
So that was what Intercom was. Exactly that. So if you go back 3-4 years, that thing with the little blue bubble in the corner of the website with the speech mark, that was Intercom. And they've introduced an AI layer that now sits on top of that, which is very, very effective. In fact, the first company I ever put it into was a property management company. Because when you looked at their metrics, their property managers, they had 7 metrics in Manhattan, 7 managers, in Manhattan. And of the 7 managers, they spent on average 68% of their time answering menial questions that were just FAQ. Like there really was nothing to those questions. And my offer to the company was, what if that 68% of their time could be bought back? And what they originally wanted to do was let a couple of them go. And what I persuaded them to do was like, no, don't let anyone go. Why don't you become a proactive property management company? Now, they weren't short-term rentals. They were single-family and multi-family units. But if I was running a property management company and they had 7,000 doors, I think, what I would look to do personally is I'd be looking to check in with every tenant every 6 months. Because lots of people won't actually come forward with the problem. It doesn't mean they don't have a problem. It just means they don't come forward with the problem. So you could turn your property management company from being purely reactive to being proactive. You can take that time and put it in a much, much better place. In Cassie's specific case, that's not really the challenge, but the challenge is, how does she watch her son or daughter do wrestling instead of answer crappy texts that really she doesn't have a choice to answer right now? And a system like Intercom would step into that within minutes.
How does that work logistically? And we're getting kind of specific into a service-based industry here. Whereas I didn't see it go in that direction. I didn't know there was an off-the-shelf product. I thought we were going to talk through more of a how you would set it up for yourself using AI, which I still want to get to. But since we're solving Cassie's issue, how does she set that up? Is there just and maybe this is the answer to both. I would imagine you have to list out all of the FAQs. How do I turn this Wi-Fi on? I'm thinking about
Good question.
A house that I have that's a short-term rental. The questions I get are about the gas fireplace that are the same ones every time. How do I turn the heat on? The gas, gas-powered wall heater in the basement. How do I turn that on? Hold the pilot light and do that. And we've thought about different solutions in the past, but it's funny. Like people say, put a QR code here. Well, you know what they do? The first thing they do, they go to the app. They don't try to solve anything themselves. They just ask questions. So I love this solution. I might have to look at it myself. But so how does she set it up? Is it just per house? This is the list of all the crap that goes wrong there, or the stupid questions we get?
Yeah, so you'd set up a different knowledge base in Cassie's case, you'd set up a different knowledge base per house. And then you would fill it. And then you would tell the agent that it's working in a multi-property environment and that the first thing it should do before it answers any question is ask where they're currently staying. So you could say the Wi-Fi is off, and it goes, "I'm sorry to hear that. Just for my records, where are you staying right now?" And you say 123 Main Street, and it goes and uses the address from 123 Main Street. My approach to this, Joe, just so you're aware, is always going to be the same. Of if it adds to your balance sheet, then I think you should build it. And if it doesn't add to your balance sheet, I think you should buy it or rent it. So what I mean by that is Cassie is not going to suddenly become an IP company that's going to sell her property management company because she's invented a bunch of technology. And Cassie probably isn't a technologist, and I'm thinking that because if she was, she wouldn't be asking us the question, she'd be fixing the thing herself. So my advice to a non-technology person is never going to be to invent a bunch of technology. It's going to be who's already solved the problem. Who can we just go and say, "I'll take that, thanks very much." Now, the other reason I like Intercom for this, and for almost everybody that will listen to this, is that their business model is a per completion. So they don't have a fixed fee of $500 a month or $2,000 a month or $10,000 a month. I think it's 70 cents per completion. Yeah. So they get paid when they resolve the case.
So interesting. So you're saying, maybe I have the mental block here. You're saying this could work for everyone. I was of the mindset that, like, for instance, for somebody responding to a series of, or, you get the same email question once a week or twice a week or every day. I was thinking there was some sort of, that was like the angle you would go with it. But you're saying this Intercom software.
The problem is that AI in its kind of native state, the majority of the AI that you and I talk about is reactive AI. It's reactive to you using it. It's not proactive on its own. So as soon as you're talking customer support, you're moving the needle quite dramatically and saying this now needs to be able to respond to an incoming request. Now, that is doable in Claude Code, and if we start creating custom agents and et cetera, but it's way outside of the purview of what we're doing here. So without something like Intercom, I would ask AI to interview you and say, "Hey, I want to get here's everything I've been asked. Here's this email, here's this email, here's this email from the last year. Now interview me to fill in any gaps." I'd create a knowledge base, and I'd certainly send them the link to that knowledge base when they checked in. I'd certainly do that. There's some easy wins there. But because I've stayed in many Airbnb and short-term rentals, and some of the best ones, there's a book, like literally 20 pages of what do I do if, what do I do if, what do I do if? And in those cases, I don't call somebody because I don't want to call somebody. I press that button. Okay, good. Understood. But in something like Intercom is gonna really help propel the use case for any service-based business.
Yeah. No, and as you're saying that, now I'm thinking, is this what you're using in my Storage Moguls?
No,
community?
Because the next layer up from Intercom is you start embedding it into the CRM inside Go High Level, because Go High Level has context on who the customer is, what the customer's doing, so you can deliver a richer experience. But the plug and play solution would be something like Intercom. There's other choices there, but Intercom's the easiest to roll out.
You just hit on something that maybe that's how I want to answer it for everybody, because I didn't want this segment to just be about property managers or service-based segment. I want people to understand that this applies to a lot more. So maybe, and you just kind of open the door for that. So let me just make a quick pivot here, folks. I'm in the self-storage business, and we educate people in self-storage. I'm building a platform. Full disclosure, you already know I'm in Peter's mastermind, but Peter's consulting with me on building this platform, the storage education platform. And the whole goal is to build something that, like Cassie, doesn't need me or the key members of my team every hour of the day when they have a simple question. But we also don't want to stop them from learning. So it's different. It's not Airbnb usage. It's more proactive. What is a cap rate again? Or how does, what's the median household income, minimum I should be looking at? Just questions about the business as they're learning, right? But we need something that runs and, when we're not, or is answering questions when, it's 9:00 at night and maybe I'm at my kid's game, or, and they want to reach out. The whole goal was to build something that doesn't need me and, the key members of my team at every hour of the day when people just have simple, basic questions. They're just trying to learn, and they're trying to find that storage facility or understand or negotiate or whatever. So, but there's so many questions, Peter, that are asked over and over and over again. And first it's by Peter, then it's by Doug, then it's by Bill, Tommy, Jane, Sally, whatever. And it's the same questions. And so we wanted to create, as you know, since you're helping us, a community, a digital community that's AI powered with a knowledge base such that when people ask those questions, there's engagement. And I guess that's what you were just explaining. And what I realized, and Cassie, this is for you too, because I'm going through it now. What I realized is it's more work up front, but it's not that much more work, meaning the content doesn't change. The answers don't change. In other words, Peter, if you were calling me with a question or emailing me or texting me or messaging me through the platform with a question, the difference between me answering it every time and me answering it one time and never again is recording it, right? In the multiple forms, and then allowing the platform to dispense the information as it's asked, right? It's sort of like cloning, I guess. You could probably explain it better.
So, well, let me ask you. I gotta ask you a guess.
A little more work up front in the, hey, I've got to remember to record this and think about it and do this and do that. But at the end of the day, it's countless savings of hours, and more importantly, for our students, what a incredible benefit for our students that are in this platform, because now they're not waiting for these answers. Sorry,
100%. So British Airways did a study once on their customer support, and they worked out that 90% of their questions could be categorized into X amount of categories. Guess what number X was? 12. 90% of their customer support was aimed at 12. What if I miss my flight? What is the bag allowance for this flight with this type of seat? 12. And they've rerun this statistic up and down. Small businesses, large businesses. It's about the same number. There's 12 questions. Now, in a property management company, there may be 12 questions per property. But how many can there actually be? I'm just like literally physically walking through for a second. How do I park my car? Okay, this is before I get in the door. And what if I've lost my key / what's the key code / how do I get into the lock box? The lights aren't on, the heating, the electricity, the Wi-Fi, the next door neighbors are being loud. I mean, we're kind of running out of questions already.
I'll add. So the ones you're missing are amenities. So for me in the Poconos, where I have a house too, it's gas fireplace and hot tub. Right?
Okay.
There's
Guess
questions
fireplace
about
and hot
those
tub.
too. But you're right. You've nailed all the rest. Those are the questions you get.
Now let's talk about what you just said is absolutely profound. Of the people that tend to succeed in AI, naturally succeed, are people that have an engineering background. Because when I speak to people that have done manufacturing, for example, they understand that they're going to spend tens of thousands of hours on the mold, on the CNC molding, and they're going to go through multiple variations to create the mold. But once they've created the mold, they hit the green button on the production line, and now they've got 1 million copies of the thing. And now they're multi-millionaires whilst creatives are still scrabbling around editing slide 6. Like, AI is a very manufacturing engineering-led process of you're going to do all the work up front for no return whatsoever. Let's be honest, zero. But once you've done that work, you are never going to have to do it again. And it doesn't matter how much you scale. This is, to me, the core thing. Because if you do that work, whether you have 1 tenant a day or 3 tenants a week, or you're booked 365 days of the year, you're never going to have to touch this problem again. It doesn't exist in your business. And turning human scale problems into zero scale problems means that all of your energy can go elsewhere. Maybe it's going to watching your son do wrestling, or maybe it's going to buying another 3 properties. Either way, they're infinitely more interesting than handling the dross and crap that, let's also be honest, makes you hate your customers.
So true.
Like by inquiry 11 on a Saturday night, you're like, F my life. Why am I doing this?
I love the mold analogy because it's so true in most senses. I have to say, this is even easier than that though, because it's already something you're doing. You just have to record it. So it's not building a whole mold from scratch. It's just the next time you go to answer those questions, write them down or record yourself answering them or
copy the email.
Copy and paste it out of Airbnb app or whatever. Copy and paste it and start building a database. That for each property in this case.
You've got a team, pay them $5 for each new entry they put on the list and watch it be finished in a day.
Yeah. And that was Cassie, you're listening. I know because you already told me you listen to every episode. So thank you for that, by the way. This is the same thought process is exactly how I approach building storagemoguls.ai. And Peter, as I said, is literally my consultant on it, and we're using AI to educate students in completely new ways. There's like how-to guides, videos, AI tools that answer questions, but we're still there. We're still there for the questions that you can't answer. Cassie could build her guests and what she could do basically for each property, what we're doing for students at storagemoguls.ai. By the way, if you've ever been curious about self-storage or real estate entrepreneurship, you should probably check out storagemoguls.ai. And you can see what Peter builds. It's awesome. We're launching in the next couple weeks, by the way. So depending on when you're listening to this, it's either right around the corner or already humming. Cassie, thanks for the email. I think a lot of people just heard their own problem described by somebody else, right? It's just change the details. We all have this problem. And that's always clarifying. So homework for everyone, make a list of the 20 most common questions or situation you're answering in your business. And if you're in the service-based business, maybe check out Intercom. If not, drop them in ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you're using and start building yourself a kind of a first responder playbook. Now, Peter, I opened this whole segment with the question, if Cassie came to you for a solution by Friday, but here's the thing, she actually could. So how do people find you? I'm not ashamed to give you a quick plug. I just gave myself
thank you.
I'm a proud member of your mastermind. I'll vouch for it. And I want people to know how to reach you, whether they're just looking to take what you're listening to on this podcast and take it to the next level. in a mastermind, or if you actually have projects and you want to do an audit of your business. I know I think you're offering free audits, Peter.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that to be the best way for people to kind of engage. And first touch would be to use audit.peterswain.com, which we'll put in the show notes. It's like a 5-minute process. You talk about your business, and it will decide, or my brain is in the AI that will help decide where you should be looking to put AI, what you could expect to achieve, what kind of wins you could get, what would work for you, what wouldn't work for you. And then you can reach out to us on the back of that and have a conversation, see if we can help. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, it's audit.peterswain.com.
Love it. And I'm not only the president of the hair club, I'm also a member, if you remember that commercial. So I can
I do.
For,
that what I do. Thank you.
I shouldn't be making jokes about hair club.
It's a fascinating time, because the answers to what we just said to Cassie would have been very, very different a year ago, very different 2 years ago. This thing moves so quickly that almost my full-time job is trying to keep up with what's changing. And
to the point where, you know how you always have when you sign up for something today, it's paid monthly is more expensive than pay it all annually. I used to buy it annual. Now I'm going back to monthly, because I don't know if I'm going to be using this service in 6 months. It might be different.
It is like it is everything about AI now is like, well, ChatGPT is about to release ChatGPT 5.4 in the next couple of months, and it's looking pretty strong as to what it can do. So my anti-ChatGPT rant might disappear. Who knows?
Claude shut down the other day. We didn't even talk about that, and we're not going to have time. Because I got to get to the second story from the top of the show, the message you already know you're going to say yes to before you type a single word. So unpack Williamson is an executive coach who posted something I saw on LinkedIn about exactly that. Why people who are really caring, really tuned in, are often the ones who can't say no. And it's because they can already feel the other person's reaction before it even happens. I'm guilty as charged here. So they over-explain, they apologize, they justify, and then eventually their time goes first, then their energy, and then their mood. And I feel like as I say these words out loud, I live them. All right, is it just anybody else? Just me? I think I was meant to read your post. Peter, where does AI actually fit into something this personal? Because on the surface, it sounds ridiculous that AI or some chat box could fix this people-pleasing problem, but I don't think it's ridiculous. I have my own theories, but I want to hear you make the case for me here.
Okay, well, I'm going to say two things. So first of all, this isn't an AI answer, but it was my interesting answer. I don't think, Joe, you've never done this, which says something about you. I have a $500 an hour dog walk that people can buy from me. It's $500. You get to walk my dog with me. So I'm not on Zoom. I'm not on screen. I can't review documents. It's $500. It's non-cancelable. It's non-movable. And my team have been trained to send that to people that ask for something they're not allowed.
Wait a second. To ask for something they're not allowed, what does that mean?
So if people ask for, like, I want 30 minutes of Pete's time to run this idea past him, they get sent the link to click here, buy now, $500.
Is it a 30-minute dog walk?
It's scheduled at 45, but it normally goes an hour.
What kind of dog you have?
A German Shepherd.
Right.
Alsatian.
I'm going to get to the most important parts there. Is there a discount for who picks up the poop, or
No, well, it's you're on a call with me. You're not actually with me because I'm in the UK.
Oh,
no,
I'm not walking with you.
It's just a call, right?
Oh, okay.
But people pay it quite regularly.
Okay.
2 or 3 times a week, people pay it. It's fantastic. It's the easiest $500 an hour I ever earned, because I have to walk the dog anyway. So it's like, well, I might as well talk to somebody whilst I walk the dog. Number one. Number two, it's some of the most productive calls I do, because people don't go, hey, how are you? How are the kids? They go, right, this is what I need. At $500 to just have a call for 45 minutes, they get straight to the problem. And number three, it's the best filtration system I've ever designed. Because if people reply saying, no, I was looking to connect for free, well, no, we've already established that doesn't work. And some people have got upset about it, and I've gone, were you really thinking I was going to give you the time for free? I just want to check, Joe. What you were asking was me to take time away from my kids and give it to you, and you thought that I'd do that for free?
All right. So what you're demonstrating is that article that IPEC Williamson wrote was not for you, because this is not a problem for you.
No, it used to be a problem for me.
So for those
But
of us who it is a problem
what I'm
for,
offering everybody is if you don't give people a way to do the thing they want to do, they're going to do it in a way that you don't want them to do it. You and I had a conversation about the community and where I've put the water cooler channel in this community,
yeah,
which is where all of the banal chat conversation goes.
yes,
I'm not that person. You're not that person. But if you don't give people that are that person a place to play, then it goes into the places you don't want it to be. I don't like saying no to people, so I like being able to say yes to people. So I'm giving them the ability to say yes on terms that I'm happy with. See what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So that's the Peter Swain answer.
So now let me do the AI answer.
Yeah. Well, because I don't want to disqualify what you said. I think that's actually brilliant. But there are people that have clients that are already abused. It's the let's meet at 10 o'clock at night client because it works for me, and now it works for them. Now I gotta make it work for me, when that's not what I want to be doing. So what's the first step in reclaiming that, right? So I can start tomorrow with new clients and the $500 dog walk. I don't have a dog, but I'll pretend I am. But how do I kill the 10 o'clock, the current abuser, when I'm the giver. I'm the one that can't say no.
See, there's so many answers to this question, because one of the problems with AI is going to accelerate whoever you are and whatever you do. So if you're running an unsustainable, crappy business, or you have unsustainable, crappy personal habits, AI is actually going to accelerate those for you. So you've got to be really careful with how you deploy. Kryptonite is kryptonite. So we've got to be quite careful on how we deploy these things. So I still want to kind of root back in the answer of saying, we'll have two booking links, one for your existing clients, one that's free and is set to these hours, and one that's paid and is set to these hours. People say often, Joe, they don't want to trade their time for money. I don't believe that that's true. I think they just don't like the exchange rate by which they're exchanging their time for money. You just said you don't want to meet at 10 o'clock at night. Okay, what if it was $100,000 for 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, you probably do it, and you'd probably be quite grateful. It's not that people don't want to do something, it's that they're not valuing their time enough to charge for it at a rate that they're happy charging for it. But I will answer the question you're trying to get me to answer.
Well, if I was, how do I do? So answer that, and then answer how do I use AI to get the rate that I would do it at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So okay, first thing is I would get AI to role play the other side of the conversation, because most people are more scared of the phantom of the thing than the thing itself. The people you're talking about are highly empathetic, and when they say, I know they'll be disappointed, no, you don't. You do not know that. That is not a fact. That is your thought about the thing. You think that they will based on the things you've put in your head. You can't know for sure how somebody else is going to react.
Yeah, probably convince myself.
So yeah, when what happens when you convince yourself is it gets bigger and bigger and bigger in your head. So one way to get around that is to tell AI, I'm avoiding saying this thing to this person. I want you to role play all of the alternate scenarios that could come when this happens to de-energize them, whatever the right word is, sorry, to desensitize them. One of the things that I was taught by my coach when I was going through some really gnarly stuff with investments was like, you're going to hear a lot of stuff said to you. So I want you to write them all down in advance. I want you to have heard what's going to be said before you hear it. So that when you do hear it, if you do hear it, it doesn't have the energy behind it anymore. So I would advise that. I would say, if somebody wants to say, I'm sorry, I'm looking to respect my health and my boundaries right now around how I show up. So I'm not free then. Would love to talk then, or then, or then. Well, what responses could you get? You could get, that's really disappointing, but it has to be 10 o'clock. I mean, really, how bad is it going to be? The truth is, it's the phantom that lives in our head that's the problem, not the actual truth of it.
It's true. And then back to your other point is if you're doing it, you must think that client's worth it, meaning the exchange rate that you talked about.
100%. You and I speak.
It's worth it.
You and I have spoken at midnight regularly.
Your time.
Because I value on my time, because I value what we're doing together, and I see the long-term engagement, and it's also in the mix. You're not an asshole. So if we're on the call and at 12:15, I'd be like, Joe, I'm done. It's past. You'd be like, shit. Sorry for the. You'd be like, yeah, no issues at all. Sorry, we went so late. Off you go. Whereas some people, if I was on that call, I couldn't leave that call without them being offended. So with those people, I would not extend. I would not go beyond 10 o'clock. My team has a list of who I will take a meeting between 10 and midnight and who I won't. And they're people that are not just worth it, but they're people that I don't find energetically draining. They're people that I find energetically gaining.
Well, that's part of your exchange rate too, right? Right? There's the monetary exchange.
Yeah, there's some people that...
And the human connection exchange.
There's some people who don't pay me a penny that I'd take a call from at 11 o'clock at night. So I really hope people, put their head around this, because the more AI infiltrates and optimizes and makes efficient, the more value human connection is gonna have. So putting the right price tag on that for your own, I'm going to sound really philosophical. We're all going to leave this world at some point. And when we do, is the only time we're going to get to draw up the scorecard of how did we win or lose at the game that we were playing. And most people's game factors in family, friends, health, travel, etc. It doesn't factor in resetting the Wi-Fi in 4 minutes for the guy in the Poconos. I understand why it has to happen. I get it. I do it, you do it, we all do it. But if we can't set those boundaries, what is the point of playing the game of entrepreneurship if it doesn't actually get you the things that you're going to judge yourself on that last day? Surely that's the point of why we become entrepreneurs. It's to create legacy. It's to challenge ourselves, if we're being honest, because an entrepreneur is one of the only people that actually knows how much they're worth to the world, because the bank tells you. But it's also to give ourselves the ability to have kids and to travel and have meaningful relationships and etc. So I feel for people in that situation quite deeply, because I look back at my history, at the mistakes I made, and I feel like a bit of a simpleton. Like, the answer is just don't do it. I mean, it really is. The answer is just say no, because they're not really going to be that disappointed. They'll be okay.
You were 100% right, and some people need to mentally get themselves in that position, and they're not there yet, and that's why that's why I know
AI can coach you through that.
Can coach you through it, right? And I'm going to get moving here because I don't want the show to be too long. I think I'm going to give a low-hanging fruit here, Peter, because I think I already know the answer. Because when I read that, I was really thinking about the person that just really can't say no, and we all know some of those folks in our lives, and to some extent, it is us, depending on who the person is. And so I think one of the low-hanging fruits here is, I know you can have a conversation with AI and tell it, hey, be this person that's hard for me to say no to, and let me role play with you. Right? You kind of touched on it earlier, but I want to drive home that point. You could actually role play this. You could describe the situation. You could ask AI to be the character, the real person, but as a character, and tell them they're this or that or whatever, and then role play it with them. And to your point, when you said earlier, write down those hard things that people are going to say to you, so it takes the shock value away and the energy out of it. I think role playing it with AI would be huge.
100%.
So you find yourself in that situation, and by the way, if even after that it doesn't go well, it doesn't go the way you would hope, that person just doesn't understand that 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night is not respecting boundaries. Maybe you've got some decisions to make. Maybe to answer your question earlier, Peter, or you just posed, when we leave this earth and we're answering that question, is that really one of the things we want to be answering?
Yeah. I'll tell you a very quick, very fun story. I was working with a client once who used to curse me out in front of a 300-person office, And I'm talking cursing that I find offensive, which is quite high. And I took him to one side once. I went, Spence, can I ask? I was a consultant. I'm like, can I ask a favor? He's like, well, I'm like, can we drop some of the language? I'm finding this is really pushing a bit too far. And he added 5 expletives in a row in his answer to me. It was basically no. So I said to a friend, I can't believe you did this. Da 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 da. And my friend turned around and said, just charge him. He's like, what? I'm like, charge him $200 every time for every curse word. Just put it on the invoice. You have an expenses claim. Just put it on the invoice. 6 months we did that for, and his accounting team came back and he asked me what was this? It was $22,000, and I was like, oh, every time you curse me out, I decided to clip you $200 because then I didn't care. That was good. Every time you said it, it just brought a smile to my face. It was.
That's a hell of a swear jar.
And he told me to F off.
unpack, thank you so much for posting. That was really insightful. Folks, if you found today's show worthwhile, please give us a like and share this with a friend. I think we got into some deep stuff here, which I really enjoyed. And subscribing never hurts either. Makes for nice reminders when the show releases. We appreciate you listening and your Dear Idiots emails. Please keep them coming to idiots@successfulidiots.com. That's idiots@successfulidiots.com. For Peter Swain, I'm Joe Downs. We are your Successful Idiots. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.